Welcome back, everybody, to the show another week, and we begin with my favorite type of segment, which is checking in on MAGA culture wars, these silly nonsense subjects they get really fixated on that happen to serve perfectly as these moral panics, unnecessary moral panics that accidentally, maybe coincidentally, distract a lot of Trump's supporters from more important issues and failures of his. And I feel like, first of all, this segment is like the epitome of this show. It's gonna range in topics from me ranting about Taylor Swift not performing at the halftime show, and Bad Bunny's gonna come up. We're also gonna get to data about the effect of Trump's immigration policy on the prosecutions of drug trafficking, and that actually having the inverse effect that was promised, etc. But it centers around this idea that, in my mind, every time I hear about a new culture war, so we've talked about and have had a lot of fun discussing their explosion over the Sydney Sweeney ad and how this is proof the left hates America, white people or something, and then the sorority girls are all fighting the left by dancing, and then Cracker Barrel. But you can't, an important thing to understand about these is you can't beat those drums too long. So the Cracker Barrel freak out, the clock was up. And so now they have to find a new one, and they found it. And it's Bad Bunny. Do we have a photo? Bad Bunny? MAGA talking heads, the Daily Beast reports, I'll show you some examples, have not taken kindly to a musician who sings in Spanish being, well, okay, that's a funny way to summarize it, being announced as the next Super Bowl halftime performer. MAGA, I won't leave it there. To try to be as good a faith as I can, the outrage you're about to see as to Bad Bunny being selected as the NFL halftime show performer. You know, they have a musician who performs during the halftime show in Super Bowl in February, and they are perceiving this as a huge FU to Trump by the NFL picking Bad Bunny because he speaks Spanish. Not just because he speaks Spanish, but it's an FU because he speaks. Does that make sense? No, that's not just it. He's very critical of Trump. That's why they're really upset. And maybe other reasons. Bad Bunny has been a critic of Donald Trump and his hardline anti-immigration agenda, and has previously refused to book gigs in the contiguous United States, fearing ICE raids. So he's Puerto Rican born, but is saying he's not going to perform in the continental United States because of the fear that audience members could end up being subjected to some sort of ICE presence. And Benny Johnson wrote in response, a massive Trump hater, anti-ICE activist, no songs in English, and was upset. But we don't have to read his writings. Let's just check in on him on his show. What was Benny saying? And this, they tell us, is proof that the NFL now has gone woke. You're about to hear that. And doesn't respect America because having Bad Bunny is an FU to Trump because Bad Bunny is critical of Trump and speaks Spanish.
What's up, guys? Benny. The NFL was already off to a rough start this season with multiple green dildos hitting the field. The ref engaging in what is just an occupational hazard here in America's wokest sports league that still includes the Kelsey brothers, so it's probably who dropped the dildo here. Nonetheless, the NFL...
He said the NFL's the wokest. What about is it roller derby? Right? Is it what it's called? Roller derby? Roller derby. You don't think roller derbies? We just met someone who does roller derby. She said the crowd, at least she's in, is a very woke anti-Trump crowd. NFL's more woke than roller derby? I don't see it, but okay.
Continue to drop the ball and prove itself to be the wokest sports league in America with the idiotic decision to hire somebody who hates America, hates the Trump administration, campaigned for Kamala Harris, doesn't even sing in English, to be the Super Bowl halftime performer, someone named Bad Bunny. I don't know what a Bad Bunny is because I'm not a club rat from South Miami, but, you know, apparently Bad Bunny is a thing. What is a Bad Bunny exactly? Bad Bunny is a Spanish language rapper.
You know what's so funny? I was gonna do a joke about, because often what happens is these. Imagine the way I feel like turning on social media is like I walk into a room where a bunch of people are hanging out, and I'm sort of like ba ba da ba doo ba ba, like I don't know, licking a lollipop, like really happy, skipping, and then I walk in. And everyone's just screaming about something, and then I'm trying to listen and figure out what everyone's screaming about, and that's kind of opening X to me. And so then I don't know a ton about Bad Bunny either, clearly a little bit more than Benny, but as I was trying to think of like ways to make this segment silly, I was like, is there anything I could do with Bad Bunny, making jokes about like, oh, he's not a good bunny, like I don't know where could I a Bad Bunny, like how could I. And then I was prepping and I saw that he made that joke, and I was like, oh, I can't make that joke then. I don't know what a Bad Bunny is. It's just, ugh.
Who doesn't even rap in English. He's a Puerto Rican rapper. That means he's an American, by the way.
Good job.
Puerto Rico is part of America. He has an American passport. He's the king of Latin trap. Got it. So what exactly does Bad Bunny do? I'm not cool, so I like just listen to Johnny Cash. That's like it. So what you like? Maybe Bad Bunny has all these bangers out here. You ever heard about? He has a hit song called "Soy Peor." You ever heard of it? No. How about "I Like It" or "Mia"?
Okay, so we're just going to take this one chunk at a time. I don't know if any of you would want to bear through just listening to a bunch of this segment with no breaks, but he says, first of all, do you have that photo of the little Google recommendation that Google thought Benny Johnson would find relevant to him? He says the advertising on Military Times right now, and it's advertising the world's largest gay cruise. All I'm going to say is if he had gone on that, you would have heard "I Like It." How is he being serious? How have you never heard? You worked at BuzzFeed. You've heard "I Like It." I like it like that. Hoopa duppa doopa duh. You've heard "I Like It." Cardi B. And okay. Then he says, I listen to Johnny Cash. Yeah, well, maybe that's the idea on the part of NFL. Similar to how people were getting so upset that Taylor Swift kept appearing whenever she would go to games to support her now fiance, Travis Kelce. They'd be like, why? I didn't watch this game to see Taylor Swift constantly being shown in her booth celebrating. I don't care. And the idea was that if you put a lot of emphasis on Taylor Swift being there, they saw a surge in female viewership. It would just happen. The NFL actually made gains, from my understanding, in Swifties watching the NFL. So similarly, I think, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I think that the NFL has a lock on Johnny Cash fans. I think they got that market locked, okay? So maybe a little, the game, you already have people watching the game, and then they get more viewership because they appeal to the Bad Bunny crowd. And also, maybe the female viewership will also surge, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, let's keep watching. He's a Johnny Cash guy.
You ever heard of that? Any of these like favorites? You spin these during Christmas in your household? Anybody like ever heard of anything he's ever done? No, nobody knows who this is, and well, nobody really cares, except for the NFL, who's decided that in.
Also, he is one of the biggest pop stars in the entire world right now. So I looked at one of the songs had 2 billion listens. I think people know who he is. Doesn't mean you're going to be the hugest fan. But then he got really fixated on the outfits that Bad Bunny has worn because I'm sure he hates them. I just can't stop looking at them. I hate it. While we continue to this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show. And again, somehow we're going to connect this to the prosecution's failing under Trump of drug trafficking. It's going to be very interesting. Get ready.
Is the Super Bowl halftime show. This is Bad Bunny. This is what a Bad Bunny is. Again, I don't listen to this music. Like, the NFL is woke garbage. Creed denied yet again. Disgraceful. This is the NFL announcing it. And it's just like the Bad Bunny sitting on an NFL goalpost.
I mean, what is this? What kind of sick world are we in? He's sitting on a goalpost? NFL, they kick through a field goal? And now we just have Bad Bunnies running around, hopping around on goalposts? Is that what America's become? Just Bad Bunnies all over our field goals? Why can't we have field goals anymore without Bad Bunnies? Well, I don't know how he doesn't feel silly. You can take that one down. We're just going to keep hopping through this.
Says Danica Patrick, quoting our tweet. Hi, Danica. How you be doing? Is it going to be the first time an NFL is forced to change the halftime show performance? The backlash over Bad Bunny is insane. It is the number one trend in the world right now. Bad Bunny performing. The concept of refusing to perform in the U.S. to protest against ICE and then agreeing to do the Super Bowl is really special. The NFL doesn't know who its target's audience is. That's exactly right.
Maybe that's a part of it. The halftime show was never for the hardcore football fans. You do understand that, right? That's why they have a halftime show, and that's why they have really quirky commercials, because they want it to be a global cross identity lines event, because then you have more viewership and then you can sell way more money of ads. If you just have your hardcore sports audience, then you're leaving a lot of money on the table. But if you throw in Taylor Swift's at the game, let's say the Chiefs go again, Taylor Swift at the game, but your Swifties are watching to see if they can get a shot of her. You got Bad Bunny, a bunch of Bad Bunnies are watching. I'm kidding. Whatever. Well, a lot of his fans are watching, and maybe some of them, I don't know why we're assuming this, but maybe some of them wouldn't have watched the Super Bowl anyways. And then you got quirky ads and Cassie's watching. You never know. That's Jaden's girlfriend. And then this.
Well, the answer, that's Bad Bunny cross-dressing, wearing a dress.
I hate it.
Humiliation ritual. This is what they do to all male rappers. It's like the price of fame. Ha ha ha, football gay, WTF. Right? There you go. Here's your...
Hey, how many minutes do you plan on spending this segment looking at him in different outfits? Look at this. Look at this. You can almost see his nipple. Look at this. They look at this. This is what they've taken from us. We can almost see a man's nipple. Look at his armpit hair. I can't stop looking. It's like, all right, dude. Okay, Benny. We get it. Now, I don't care for the reasons they do, but I'm upset about this because Taylor Swift was in the running. Now, that would have made MAGA really mad as well, because Taylor Swift's not pro-Trump either. But I have been waiting since I was like a 9-year-old Taylor Swift fan for her to do the halftime show, because I love football and I love Taylor Swift, and it would be the convergence of everything that I love. Not everything, a lot of what I love, especially in this political environment. The I'm a childless cat lady post, like that Taylor Swift post, that era of Taylor Swift, another reference, being an anti-Trump figure, and she's Taylor Swift performing at the halftime show, and the Texans are going to be in the Super Bowl, which is very exciting. It would be just everything that I would want. But according to a report, Rob Shooter's Substack, Swift had interest in performing, though she had one major demand, which is an important thing to her. Swift wanted to retain ownership of her performance and secure slots promoting her own projects, and the NFL flatly refused, and they argued it's the biggest platform in the world. They're the one giving the performer more notoriety and more exposure. Exposure was the word they used, to which the reporter responded, Swift doesn't really need any more exposure, so I don't think she needed it for that reason. So then it fell apart, and I don't get my dream. Cole said to me a few weeks ago, I'm hearing maybe Taylor Swift's going to be the halftime performer, and I got so excited. So I'm mad for a completely different reason, but the big part of this is his anti-ICE. He's being described as an anti-ICE activist, and he has spoken out against Trump, against ICE's actions. As you read there, Benny Johnson said, massive Trump hater, anti-ICE activist, no songs in English. But we have yet... no songs in... It's just... Okay. You do realize the Super Bowl is watched, like, around the world. You know that, right? Okay. But now we have even more data as to why it's perfectly rational to peacefully, as Bad Bunny's doing, from what I can tell, politically oppose the recent actions of ICE. And that is outlined here. Aaron says, new Reuters uncovers that the Trump administration is prosecuting the lowest number of drug trafficking cases in decades. Why? Because the Trump administration has diverted so many law enforcement resources away from drugs to going after migrants. Instead, federal drug prosecutions fall to lowest level in decades as Trump shifts focus to deportations. And look at these numbers. So far this year, about 10% fewer people have been prosecuted for drug violations compared to the same period 2024. So that's sort of like, I don't know, but what do you mean drug violation? But this is the big part. The pullback was more dramatic for the types of conspiracy and money laundering cases often used to pursue high-level traffickers. The number of people charged with money laundering dropped by 24%. So you have these different criminal schemes, whether it's drug trafficking or money laundering, and Trump says he's really serious about stopping the drug trafficking. We do have a massive problem with so many people dying of drug overdoses and fentanyl pouring into the country. And he uses that problem as justification to unilaterally, extrajudicially strike boats. And we don't know, were they actually traffickers? And Trump's going, you really don't want to be a fisherman right now. Because we're just extrajudicially killing people who we allege to be traffickers. But then in reality, because of the obsession with just artificially juicing up the detainment and deportation numbers, as it's increasingly, overwhelmingly not people who, aside from illegally entering, have committed crimes. So not the dangerous criminals they talked about, but just wanting to grab whoever they can, even if in every way other than illegally entering the United States, they've been law-abiding and they've been productive. And the best path for those folks would be some path to legal status. But that obsession to please Stephen Miller and the base and have a big raw number of we got this many people, as is making no one safer and communities more afraid, is actually making us less able to address real criminals. Really think about that. The real criminal schemes and gangs and tren de agua, as Donald Trump Jr. would say.
Tren de agua.
Yeah, tren de agua. Or as 50% of people call it, tren de agua. Okay? Instead of actually allocating the proper resources to make us safer and to minimize drug overdoses and to stop the drugs that are coming to the United States, they're prioritizing grabbing up random people. And also, this could have an effect on local law enforcement. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is using numerous incentives to draw in recruits with law enforcement experience, but that could leave local police departments hurting for staff. So there's all these ripple effects. I just heard anecdotally, where I live, some testimony on this front of short-staffed local police departments because they're being poached for immigration and customs enforcement. So many downsides. But the upside, I don't know, but it flies right in the face of the promise Trump made, obviously. And it flies in the face of Pam Bondi's big declarations like this.
I was at DEA yesterday, and they said to me, you, Donald Trump, have taken the handcuffs off of DEA agents. And as a result of, since you have been in office, President Trump, your DOJ agencies have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills, 3,400 kilos of fentanyl since you've been your last 100 days, which saved, are you ready for this, media? 258 million lives. Kids are dying every day because they're taking this junk laced with something else. They don't know what they're taking. They think they're buying a Tylenol or an Adderall and a Xanax.
So she says Trump saved 258 million lives, when in reality, our drug trafficking enforcement is being diminished because of their obsession of juicing up raw numbers. So, the fact that Bad Bunny has a problem with ICE, see, I think I told you it all go together, is pretty rational. Look at him in a dress. It's so funny. This is what they've taken from us. Okay.